According to a new Fox News poll, 47% of Americans believe the botched Times Square bombing attempt was a failure on the part of Homeland Security. So is Washington doing enough to battle terrorism here at home? Let's ask today's panel. Richard Grenell, he's former advisor to Ambassador John Bolton, defense attorney Tamara Holder, and Rick Newman, chief business correspondent for U.S. News and World Report. Richard, you surprised by that? After all, Rick, I'll call you Rick, even though it says Richard on the card. Rick, it looks as though Americans think as though even though we dodged a bullet, we got lucky.
We clearly got lucky. There's no question about it. I think, you know, the feds messed this up all along the way. If not for a T-shirt salesman, we might not have had the same outcome. And I think that's outrageous. We got to look at the visa problems of these guys. I think the State Department needs a lot more scrutiny because they're the ones who are approving these visas. They're helping to approve citizenship. They need to be held accountable. Somebody needs to find out who gave this guy a visa.
Rick, we stopped it, but we don't feel better about it.
I think, can we say maybe we got lucky and some things worked? I mean, let's go back to the guy used non-explosive fertilizer, right? He used the wrong fertilizer, the wrong trigger for the bomb. So let's say he had tried to get his hands on the right stuff.
Okay.
That may have been the thing that would have triggered authorities being able to track him down. I mean, remember,
because Timothy McVeigh, we've had some controls on that.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, this guy didn't have a criminal record. And you talked before about he was on a watch list in 1999. Just to go back, 1999 was before 9/11. You know, we were a lot more focused on things like drug smugglers back then. He probably was on the list because the money went way over the limit for tracking people trafficking drugs. So I'm not sure there was a reason to even be following him as a potential terrorist.
But we did have the embassy bombing in '98, and it did go back to Pakistan because he had Ramzi Youssef there. But go ahead, Tamara, weigh in.
I think that we're just lazy, and it's just a matter of time before something happens.
Who's lazy?
I think everybody is. I think we're all lazy. No, I think it's just a matter of time. You know, Americans are lazy. The Fort Hood report was released the day of the Haiti earthquake, and we didn't talk about it in the media. The American public didn't read it. I read it one night on a Friday night because I didn't have a date, and it was, you know, 78 pages long, and there were it was full of excuses. The American public needs to wake up. The government needs to wake up, and eventually something bad is going to happen. We can't just say we got lucky every single time.
I think the feds need to wake up. I'm not sure if the American public, you know, they're busy. They're trying to
demand answers. That's the problem. We're not demanding answers.
I think Tamara's right in one way. I mean, the guy Zazi who tried to do these backpack bombings here in New York, that was almost like a sleeper story, but that was almost a huge
And the other
deal.
story we're trying to avoid, why are you not dating on Friday night? What is wrong with America? Straight ahead, the media keeps looking at what drove the Times Square bomber to turn on this country, but does it really matter? Should we really be sympathizing with this guy? More from our panel next. Suspected Times Square bomber, Faisal Shahzad, has ties to the Taliban, we understand, and was attempting to kill Americans, as you know. So why is the mainstream media, so many other apparatus out there, so sympathetic? Listen.
Faisal Shahzad seemed to be living the American dream. Wife, 2 kids, nice house in the suburbs. Even his signature seems to suggest optimism. It appears a heart is dotting the I in Faisal.
It can be confirmed that his house was foreclosed on in recent years. I mean, one would have to imagine that that brought a lot of pressure and a lot of heartache.
He became a U.S. citizen just a year ago, but he has not realized any American dream. He quit his job, lost his house, and was separated from his family.
Rick and Tamara are here talking about this. Rick, first off, are you surprised that they don't just call this guy an Islamic terrorist, an Islamic extremist? What is the deal with the American dream went awry?
Well, first of all, it's this administration that's not calling people terrorists. It's this administration that wants to put the 9/11 mastermind in the same courthouse as Martha Stewart. I mean, we've got to start calling it what it is, and we have to start putting the pieces together. I think Rick picked up on one great point, which was, let's try to put these pieces together. Maybe the feds had some pieces. They clearly didn't put it together. And I want to start holding people accountable. I want to see somebody at the State Department who approved this visa held accountable.
Brian, I think there's actually kind of a comical element to this. I mean, this is obviously extremely serious, but the guy's a bumbler. I mean, we learned a new detail this morning. He parked a getaway car nearby, and he left the keys in the smoking car, and he took a train back to Connecticut. I mean, it's really sort of comical. And there's another interesting thing here, which is, you know, journalists look on social networks now to learn about people. And this guy has profiles up on the internet and stuff. And, you know, so people are seeing him sort of in his home element. And I think that, you know, it just sort of makes it seem like he's one of us in a way, much more than Tim McVeigh ever seemed like one of us.
Tamara.
I think that what's comical is that this man was able to park 2 cars in very populated areas. We let him slip through the cracks. He boarded a plane. What's comical is how lazy we are, and it has nothing to do with the visa as much as it has to do with all of our intelligence.
I mean, you're right. You're right. You know, you're right that we've got more coming probably. But let's keep in mind, you know, a vendor within a couple of minutes of this car getting parked said something's not right here and called the cops.
Okay, but it could have been.
He walked through the TSA at JFK. He walked through TSA.
That's a problem. No doubt.
At JFK.
Right.
Yeah,
I got searched like crazy when I go
Well,
through.
Tamara, I know your lazy theme, and I can't argue with it, but in this in particular, this guy is not upset with the economy. He's not frustrated in his arranged marriage. He's not because he's not utilizing his master's degree and getting a job he wants. This guy's a radical Islamic extremist, just like the 9/11. Why don't we call him
unemployed for 5 months, going back and forth to Pakistan.
Not say that that we should have sympathy for somebody who's lost their home when millions of Americans have lost their homes.
But they don't turn into terrorists.
I agree. I'm agreeing with that. So the question was about being sympathetic to this man. There's no reason why we should be sympathetic, but it involves our collective efforts here. We cannot just blame the State Department. We cannot just blame the Obama administration. It involves a lot of people. And the terrorists came to the country before President Obama was president.
Look, that may be true, but the simple fact is this administration is sending the message that we're just not going to play in this area.
Especially if it turns out he was pulled off this watch list and they pulled off his tail. I think that would be an issue. We'll have to see. Rick, and Tamara, thanks so much.
Thanks, Brian.